Okay, so you have diligently practiced what we talked about in the last video with the clutch walk or whatever, just a little turning here and there, our brakes and all that fun stuff. And we've got low speed, like really low speed, pretty much down. Now comes the fun part and the scary stuff. Now, if you've never shifted or I guess driven a manual car or a motorcycle before, the concept of shifting will be a little bit foreign to you. So remember, we've got our neutral. You've got neutral here. You kick down to get it into first gear. You kick it up to get through neutral into second, to third, to fourth, to fifth, so, and so on. And what are we kicking down? This guy, okay? Our shift lever. We've got our clutch lever, and we've got our shift lever. Now, if you were to kick it down, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to hold the brake just to show it. If I were to kick it down into first gear right now while in neutral, see that? It jumps, right? Because I just stalled it, basically. So when you kick it down into first gear, you want to make sure that your shift lever is pulled in, right? Because that's going to disengage the clutch. In this case, it's not engaged at all. It's in neutral, whatever. But when you pull your clutch in and you kick it down, now we're in first gear with the clutch disabled, right? Or disengaged, right? Remember, this is how we got to clutch walking, remember? From the last video? Well, that's all fine and good, but then what? So when we're ready to pick up some speed, that's when we're going to shift. So remember, from a stop, we're going to slowly let the clutch out until we feel the clutch grab right there. Apply a little bit of throttle, let out all the way, and we're off to the races. Now, to shift up into second gear, we're going to pull our clutch in with our left foot. We're going to kick up past neutral into second gear. At the same time, we're going to get rid of, or we're going to dump the throttle. We're just going to let it go, right? So we're going to go ahead and move. So, demonstration. I'm going to let go of the throttle. I'm going to pull in the clutch. I'm going to kick it up into second gear. I'm going to release the clutch and apply throttle at the same time. Now that's a fucking mouthful, isn't it? It's not that bad. See? Now, that's a lot to do, and it happens in less than a second. So, you know, it's going to take some time to get used to, but just do it one thing at a time. Okay? So, here's a good stop sign. This will give us a little bit of practice on starting from a stop. Now remember, we've got in first gear, the clutch is pulled in. We're going to make sure it's clear, right? Let go of the clutch until you feel it grab. Apply a little bit of throttle, and we're gone. See? Now it only takes a little bit of throttle to get going. Doesn't take a whole bunch. You just roll onto it a little bit. No big deal. And here we're going to go again. Full stop. It's clear. Slowly release the clutch, apply a little bit of throttle, and we're gone. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and it'll save you a little bit of embarrassment. So go nice and slow until you get that down pat, and you won't stall. You might stall under like some, extreme circumstances or something, but don't worry about it. You'll be all right. You'll be just fine. We're going to get into downshifting when I get, after I go to Safeway. So I'm going to splice that in right now. Okay, so we've gone over starting from a stop. So this is a good example right here of, well, we're getting onto a main thoroughfare. I would get yourself super comfortable with, you know, shifting and everything before you enter a major thoroughfare. This is technically a highway, but the speed limit is 35 miles an hour. But that doesn't make it any less dangerous than a normal highway. Okay, so I did it without even thinking. So we're going to pull into here real quick. And we're going to go over shifting a little bit more. So remember, it's a little bit complicated, isn't it? Pull in the clutch, release the throttle, kick it into the next gear. As you're releasing the clutch, you're applying throttle. So, first gear, accelerating, pull in our clutch, release the throttle, kick up into second, apply the throttle as we release the clutch. Man, that's a lot to say. That's a lot to say, baby. Jump. Yeah, got some air on that one. Downshifting. Now, downshifting is the reverse, almost exactly, because we're not releasing the throttle, we're applying throttle. In what we call, we're gonna blip the throttle, which means that's blip. We're just blipping the throttle. And what we're doing is, it's called rev matching. Okay? Now, if you're just starting out and you need to go somewhere, you know, sure, you can do that. But I don't like doing that because that puts a lot of wear on the clutch plate. Okay? So you gotta think, any sort of friction between the clutch and the engine, that is wear and tear. Okay, replacing the clutch, especially on like a Harley or an older motorcycle, is a bitch and a half because you might not be able to find the parts, or the parts are just stupid expensive, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about downshifting. So yeah, instead of pulling in the clutch, releasing the throttle, kicking up into the next gear, releasing the clutch as we apply throttle, what we'll be doing instead is pulling in our clutch, giving it gas to get our RPMs up, pushing down into the next gear and releasing the clutch. And that's going to take a lot of practice because it's, like I said, it's called rev matching. You have to find, and every bike is different. You know, it might be similar on, you know, the same model of a bike. It's going to be almost identical. Little variations here and there. But the you know, rev matching and finding that sweet spot is different in an R3 versus a Goldwing. You know what I mean? They're just way different. You've got longer gears. You got longer you got bigger engines. You know, you got different rev limits. You know, if you're playing with a damn R6, you know, those things redline at like 22,000 RPM or something crazy. Meanwhile, a V-twin is going to be something like 8, 9, 10,000. So it's different, very different. But it's the same in that it's exactly backwards, right? So we're going to go ahead and downshift right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my clutch in, blip the throttle, kick it down into third gear, and release the clutch. See that? I mean, it's a split second. Blink and you miss it, right? So it's best to do this and practice while the bike is off and simulate kicking it down into gear, or just play with the throttle or the clutch anyway, or the shift lever anyway. I can't imagine it would do too much harm doing it dry. Here we go again. Now, was that perfect? No. But it's a lot better than just letting it go, you know what I mean? All that friction. Now, in what scenario are we downshifting? Well, a lot, actually. So for example, right now we're coming up to a stop sign, and to slow the bike down, like shifting down is a really good way. You can just engine brake, right? It's just letting it go. Watch, just third gear, pretty quick, and then I haven't touched the brake at all. See that? Throttle in, release the, clutch in, release the throttle, kick it up into second gear, apply throttle while we slowly release the clutch, second gear. Pull the clutch in, release the throttle, kick it up into third, apply throttle, and release the clutch. That's a lot, dude. You know, when you say it, it sounds like a lot more than it is. I mean, it is a lot, but I mean, eventually, dude, it's just second nature. I mean, if you've noticed, I've been able to talk in all of my videos while I downshift, while I do everything. Now, a more advanced technique, I mean, I guess you could call it advanced. I mean, it's more advanced than just your typical downshifting. Learning how to apply the front brake and downshift at the same time. So if you notice, I always have my middle finger out. I'm not flipping you off. It's on both. Well, really, I use on my clutch, I use these two. On my brake, I typically just use my middle finger, and sometimes I'll use three, but typically it's just the middle. Now, let's say for instructional purposes only, or no, that doesn't work out. Let's just say, imagine there is a road hazard up ahead. It's a lava pit. There's a lava pit up here. It's going to be around the corner. It's over there. We don't know it's there yet. But when we approach it, we have to slow down as fast as we can because it just popped out of nowhere. Now, how are we going to address that? Now, you can pull your clutch in and brake and go to 0 miles an hour while still being in 5th gear. It's going to be a little hard to get out of it. I mean, not really. You have to just kick down into first, but you get a little bit more braking. You lessen the amount of time between here and the danger if you did all three at the same time. And all three is using engine brake, using rear brake, and using front brake, all at the same time. Pretty freaking crazy. So how do we do it? Let's talk about that first. So if you notice, look at my right hand. Do you see how I'm able to roll it while keeping my finger on the brake. Now if you can buy adjustable brake levers, which I'm going to soon, but if you notice how I'm rolling, I have small hands. I wear extra small mechanics gloves. Okay, so I don't have very big hands. So you can do this with small hands. So actually, you know what? Fuck the lava. We're just going to engine brake into this corner. Okay, right on the other side of these trees is a road. So what I'm going to be doing is applying the front brake while I downshift. Okay, and if you just watch, it's easier to show than explain. See how I'm doing that? So I'm pulling that brake while I roll my wrist. See that? I'm not applying the brake right now, I'm just showing. It's hard to apply the brake as a beginner and manipulate your throttle. It's something that comes with time and familiarity with your bike, any bike really. but it's not something that is gonna just happen overnight. Like I was saying, I was riding like the first 2 or 3 years, I couldn't figure it out until it just clicked for me one day when a buddy told me, just roll your wrist, roll your palm against your, you know, against your throttle. Just roll it. And yeah, dude, sorry, it's really hard to concentrate. I was when I was doing cardio at the football field, the custodian was mowing the grass, and I'm pretty sure there's a flake of grass, just a fleck, speck, whatever, under my fucking contact in my right eye, and it is absolutely killing me. Eyes watering. No bueno. So yeah, so that's kind of upshifting and downshifting. I mean, I'm not the greatest at explaining shit. I'm gonna cut this all together and take out a lot of the garbage. But I want to right now cut over to when I was at Safeway, and I want to just talk about parking lots. We're recording, right? Okay. So, side tangent. Since we're on the subject of riding around in the real world, parking lots. Parking lots are a dangerous place, okay? Just like in the freaking, just like out in the world, never assume anybody can see you ever. You are invisible. So, taking up the entire middle of the road. So when you're driving through a parking lot, always be scanning. I'm exaggerating a little bit by turning my head, but be scanning, be aware. This truck could have someone right on the other side come out, knock you over, run you over. Okay, so always be scanning left and right, left and right, left and right. Never assume anyone can see you ever. Okay, especially on a fucking Grom or a chopper where you sit real low. Just assume no one can see you, and somehow they're magnetically drawn to you and they're going to try to hit you. It's almost like they want to sometimes. It's really strange. See how she didn't even stop at that stop sign. Not even paying attention at all. She looked around like she is, but she's not. See what I mean? Like, and a corner like this, slow down even if you don't have to. Even if there's a stop sign, assume they're going to blow it. Okay? Always assume the worst. Always assume the worst. Alright, so parking lots, like I said, they can be dangerous, man. You know, just like on the road, I mean, obviously not here because I live in the middle of fucking nowhere, sort of. But when I'm in town, I've almost been hit several times. And that's actually what prompted me to purchase this exhaust, because before I was running stock and I was going to run stock forever. But if you can't see me, at least you can hear me, right? Now I don't know how you can't see me because I have a bright orange bike and I typically wear something ridiculous, a la Crocs, but and cutoffs during the summertime. Like right now it's 80 and I'm wearing a hoodie just because I needed room in my backpack for cheese. So it's dangerous. Assume people just don't see you and are just somehow magnetically attracted to you and are just gonna hit you. They're gonna hit you. So just be super vigilant all of the time. You know, always have your hand or your finger on the brake and rear brake pedal while you're in a parking lot, and just be ready to slam your brakes on. Be ready. You know, a car can come out of fucking nowhere at any time. I've even seen, I forget where I was, someone rear-ended a motorcycle in a parking lot. I think it was in Beaverton or something like that. It was 3 or 4 years ago. And it's like, how did you not see him? Well, I guess you just Well, it was an old lady, but she just wasn't paying attention. Okay? Keep distance between old people and yourself. Just do it. They can't judge distance very well, or speed. Like, they'll jump out in front of you with no time to spare, really, and then go below the speed limit. It just doesn't, they don't make any logical sense. Yeah, so, let's see, anything else? No, that's about it. I'm not super duper great at explaining things, but maybe you're someone that just kind of learns like I do, where it's just random facts thrown at you, kind of help put the pieces together. You know, I'm not an instructor. I don't have an instructor voice or anything like that, but I've been riding long enough to know what the fuck I'm doing. And I remember enough from the BRC and all that shit. And just personal experience to where I think I can help you out. So drop a like, hit that subscribe button, tell your mom about me, tell your grandma I said what's up, all that fun shit. And I'll see you in the next video.